Geopolitical crises often lead to disruptions in trade routes, creating a domino effect across global supply chains. Let's explore how these disruptions occur and their wide-ranging impacts. When conflicts erupt, key transportation routes like sea lanes, railways, and highways may be blocked or become unsafe. This delays the delivery of goods, leading to shortages and increased costs for businesses and consumers. For example, the closure of the Suez Canal due to geopolitical tensions can disrupt the flow of oil, electronics, and other goods between Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Such blockages cause delays that ripple through industries worldwide. Air transportation is also affected. No-fly zones or restricted airspaces force carriers to take longer routes, consuming more time and resources. This is especially costly for industries relying on fast delivery, such as pharmaceuticals and electronics. The domino effect spreads as delayed shipments force manufacturers to halt production, retailers to adjust inventory, and consumers to face higher prices or limited availability of goods. Understanding the cascading impact of disrupted trade routes highlights the importance of resilience in supply chains. In the next part, we'll discuss how geopolitical conflicts create shortages of critical materials and what that means for global industries. Stay tuned for more insights into the far-reaching effects of geopolitical crises on supply chains. Geopolitical crises often lead to shortages of critical materials, disrupting industries and economies worldwide. Let's examine how these shortages occur and their broader implications. When conflicts escalate, access to essential resources like semiconductors, rare earth metals, and agricultural products can be severely restricted. This happens due to trade embargoes, sanctions, or disruptions in production areas directly affected by conflict. For example, semiconductors, a cornerstone of modern technology, are primarily produced in a few countries. Geopolitical tensions can lead to delays or shortages that halt the production of everything from smartphones to cars. Agricultural products are also vulnerable. Conflicts in regions known as global breadbaskets, like Ukraine, can disrupt the supply of wheat and other staples, leading to price spikes and food insecurity worldwide. Energy resources like oil and natural gas often become leverage in geopolitical disputes. Restrictions on these supplies not only raise energy prices, but also affect industries reliant on petrochemicals and transportation. The ripple effects of these shortages force businesses to adjust. Companies may look for alternative suppliers, invest in recycling or substitute materials, or pass the increased costs onto consumers. Understanding the causes and consequences of material shortages highlights the importance of supply chain resilience. In the next part, we'll discuss how geopolitical crises drive up logistics and transportation costs. Stay tuned as we continue exploring the far-reaching impacts of global conflicts on supply chains. Geopolitical crises often lead to rising costs in logistics and transportation, creating significant challenges for global supply chains. Let's examine how these costs escalate and their broader effects. When conflicts disrupt major trade routes, alternative routes are often longer and more expensive. For example, shipping delays due to blocked canals or closed borders increase fuel consumption and labor costs. Rising oil prices, often triggered by geopolitical tensions, directly impact transportation. Higher fuel costs make shipping by sea, air, or land more expensive, with these costs ultimately passed down to consumers. Air freight is particularly vulnerable. When airspaces are restricted or declared unsafe, carriers must reroute flights, consuming more time and resources. This is especially costly for industries relying on fast delivery, such as pharmaceuticals and electronics. Port closures or delays at customs add further strain. Backlogged ports lead to increased storage fees and demurrage charges for businesses waiting for goods to clear. Trucking and rail transport are also affected. Geopolitical instability can lead to road blockages, damaged infrastructure, or increased tolls, all of which raise costs for moving goods over land. Understanding these rising costs highlights the importance of efficiency and adaptability in logistics. In the next part, we'll explore how geopolitical crises cause shifts in global manufacturing hubs and reshape production networks. Stay tuned as we continue unpacking the far-reaching impacts of geopolitical conflicts on supply chains. Geopolitical crises often cause shifts in global manufacturing hubs, reshaping production networks and influencing economic dynamics. Let's explore how these shifts occur and their impacts on supply chains. Conflicts and political tensions can make certain regions less attractive or feasible for manufacturing. Companies may relocate their operations to countries with greater stability, lower risks, or more favorable trade policies. For example, during heightened trade tensions, businesses have shifted production from one country to another to avoid tariffs or sanctions. Southeast Asia, particularly Vietnam and Thailand, has emerged as a key hub for manufacturing as companies diversify away from traditional locations. Relocating manufacturing is not without challenges. Building infrastructure, training new workforces, and establishing supply lines in a new region takes significant time and resources. However, these moves often result in more resilient and diversified supply chains. The rise of regionalization is another trend. Instead of relying on global networks, companies are setting up production facilities closer to their target markets to reduce transit times and costs while mitigating geopolitical risks. Shifts in manufacturing hubs also have long-term economic implications. Emerging markets that attract new industries benefit from increased employment, investment, and technological development. Understanding these shifts helps businesses plan strategically, balancing cost, risk, and resilience. In the next part, we'll delve into the role of sanctions and trade barriers in disrupting supply chains and their broader implications. Stay tuned as we continue unpacking the far-reaching impacts of geopolitical conflicts on supply chains. Sanctions and trade barriers are powerful tools in geopolitical conflicts, but they also disrupt supply chains and reshape global trade. Let's explore their impact on businesses and economies. Sanctions are often imposed to restrict a country's access to resources, capital, or technology. While they aim to exert political pressure, they also limit the availability of key goods, disrupting industries that depend on these imports. For example, sanctions on oil-exporting nations can lead to spikes in energy prices, affecting transportation and manufacturing costs worldwide. Similarly, restrictions on high-tech exports can delay innovation and production in sectors like electronics and automotive. Trade barriers, such as tariffs or import quotas, are another form of economic leverage. These measures raise the cost of goods, forcing businesses to either absorb the expense or pass it on to consumers. Companies caught in the crossfire often need to find alternative suppliers or markets. This can be costly and time-consuming, especially for industries reliant on specialized materials or technologies. Sanctions and trade barriers also drive the formation of new alliances. Countries affected by restrictions may seek partnerships with other nations, shifting trade patterns and creating new economic blocs. Understanding the role of sanctions and trade barriers is essential for businesses navigating a globalized economy. In the next part, we'll discuss how geopolitical crises impact energy dependencies and vulnerabilities in supply chains. Stay tuned as we continue unpacking the far-reaching effects of global conflicts on supply chains. Geopolitical conflicts often highlight the world's energy dependencies and vulnerabilities, creating significant challenges for supply chains and global markets. Let's explore these impacts. Energy resources like oil and natural gas are central to modern economies. When conflicts occur in resource-rich regions, they can disrupt production and exports, leading to price spikes that affect every sector relying on energy. For example, tensions in the Middle East or sanctions on major energy exporters can reduce global oil supplies. This not only raises fuel prices, but also increases costs for industries reliant on energy-intensive production, like manufacturing and transportation. Natural gas shortages have far-reaching effects, particularly in regions dependent on imports. European countries, for instance, have faced challenges due to geopolitical conflicts affecting gas pipelines, leading to higher heating and electricity costs. Renewable energy sources aren't immune to these challenges. Conflicts can disrupt the mining and processing of critical minerals like lithium and cobalt, essential for batteries and solar panels. To mitigate these vulnerabilities, countries and businesses are investing in energy diversification. This includes building renewable energy infrastructure, developing local resources, and forming strategic alliances to secure stable energy supplies. Understanding the intricate relationship between energy and geopolitics is crucial for navigating today's interconnected world. In the next part, we'll discuss how businesses adapt to geopolitical instability and build resilience in their supply chains. Stay tuned as we continue unpacking the far-reaching impacts of global conflicts on supply chains. Geopolitical instability presents significant challenges, but businesses can adapt and thrive by implementing smart strategies. Let's explore how companies build resilience in their supply chains during global conflicts. One key approach is diversification. Instead of relying on a single supplier or region, businesses expand their supplier base across multiple countries. This reduces the risk of disruptions caused by localized conflicts. Investing in technology is another vital strategy. Digital tools like supply chain management software and artificial intelligence help companies predict potential risks and optimize logistics in real time. Onshoring and nearshoring are gaining popularity. Companies bring manufacturing closer to home or set up facilities in neighboring countries to reduce dependency on distant, geopolitically unstable regions. Building inventory buffers is also effective. By maintaining higher stock levels of critical materials, businesses can weather temporary disruptions without halting production. Collaboration plays a crucial role. Partnerships with logistics providers, government agencies, and industry peers help businesses navigate crises and share resources during challenging times. Sustainability initiatives are becoming essential. By investing in renewable energy, recycling programs, and ethical sourcing, companies not only mitigate risks but also meet consumer demands for responsible practices. Adaptation requires foresight and agility, but these strategies empower businesses to maintain operations and even grow during turbulent times. In the final part, we'll discuss the future of supply chains in a world shaped by geopolitical conflicts. Stay tuned as we conclude our series on the impacts of global conflicts on supply chains. The world of supply chains is constantly evolving, and geopolitical conflicts are shaping their future in profound ways. Let's explore how supply chains might adapt in an increasingly uncertain global landscape. Resilience will be a cornerstone of future supply chains. Businesses are expected to invest more in diversification, ensuring that critical materials and products aren't overly reliant on a single source or region. Technology will play a pivotal role. Innovations like blockchain, AI, and advanced analytics will enable real-time tracking, risk assessment, and optimization of supply chains, making them more adaptive to global challenges. Regionalization will likely expand. Companies are moving towards localized supply chains to minimize exposure to global disruptions. This trend could bring more production back to domestic markets or nearby regions. Sustainability is becoming a priority. Businesses are adopting greener practices to reduce their environmental footprint and appeal to increasingly eco-conscious consumers. Collaboration will strengthen. Governments, corporations, and international organizations are likely to work together more closely to navigate complex geopolitical landscapes and ensure smoother trade flows. Global trade agreements and partnerships will also evolve. Countries will seek to balance economic interests with geopolitical considerations, creating new alliances and reshaping global trade routes. The future of supply chains lies in adaptability, innovation, and cooperation. By embracing these principles, businesses can navigate geopolitical uncertainties while building a stronger, more sustainable foundation. This concludes our series on the impacts of geopolitical conflicts on supply chains. Thank you for joining us on this journey into a critical aspect of today's global economy.